Morning guys, Friday morning here, and I got the car starting to unbag it a little bit. I am going to do a little cut and buff on this, not much. Looks good this morning. No flow indicators, so clear state on the panel. I'll show you what I've been up to here. I put a little seam sealer inside this fender well where my patch is. Oh yeah. We're going to put some undercoat over that. The second place that I have to deal with, and I'll get the flashlight, but I don't think we're going to be able to see it. Bear with me guys, I got to play Jungle Gym here for a second. Yeah, that's pretty poor. Let's see if I can get some light on that. Back up in there. This is inside the trunk where that patch came around to. So I've got some etch primer over that little bit of bare steel, and then I'm going to fill that. As you can see, maybe right there how thick that seam sealer is. I got to put some up in there, and I'll take an acid brush. Sorry about the shaky cam. I will take an acid brush and I will paint some seam sealer up in there over that whole weld area, so that should be a good lasting repair. Hopefully I got all the rod at this point, at least all the rod I could see with my luck. And we repaired to about there. It'll probably rot back in here, and I can't get to that without taking the exhaust down. I didn't see any rust along that seam. I'm sure there's some in there. If I could figure out a way to get some fluid film or something up in there to prolong that. I mean, it wasn't real crusty. I got back, in here, and I found clean steel. So that made me happy. And it was clean on the other side of my repair too. So I should have been a little more diligent with my wet sanding, or my 800 grit sanding, to get the old orange peel out of this panel. There wasn't much, but now that I've added 2 more coats of clear to it, I do want to knock it down a little bit. But I was a little ticked. It looked like my repair had mapped itself out a little bit, but now that the clear is settled down this morning and cured up, I'm not seeing it. You put that fluorescent light on it, I'm sure you can see something where the blend fades out, but that's weird. This is my least favorite color to paint, and it's a second vehicle that I painted with it. The last one was that Ranger, that Ford color, and it's also the same color as the bottom two-tone accent on my pickup. That I can paint a whole panel though and not worry about it, because it's in 3-foot sections, and I have a breaking point because it's two-tone. This, no breaking point. The right way would have been to blend into that door and come maybe to just past the door latch, but that's a whole lot of horsing around, and he's not gonna criticize me for it. You'll always, when you put fresh clear, say that quarter panel's got fresh clear on it and that door's got old clear on it, with extra clear on that panel, it's always going to give you a little illusion that it's not a match. But once I cut and buff that, and I'm going to buff up that door a little bit too, that always seems to help for me. I did the same thing on that Ranger. I buffed up the back of the cab just a little bit, and you couldn't see a color transition at all. So I'll get you guys back out here when I'm finishing up my assembly. Like I said, I'm going to put some undercoating in that fender well, but I got seam sealer drying up now. I used a 1-part seam sealer. I hate to use it, but I got a whole frickin' tube of it, so I'm using it, and it seems to hold up. It's just the new 2-part stuff is so much better. And I packed seam sealer in where the inner and outer fender structure came together around this lip on the bottom, because if you guys remember, there's this, and then there's a panel that I had to weld in behind it, and both of those take this same turn and go in like that. So there's seam sealer packed along the back of those two. and I looked, back farther down along in here. The factory seam sealer doesn't come down to the lip. The factory seam sealer is like a panel bond adhesive, and it's up in here. So it is sealed up there, but it doesn't stop the crap from getting in that little extra bit. So I'm going to fluid film that one. I'm going to pull, there's a rubber that covers this and covers all those spot welds. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and I've already sprayed some fluid film down in this dog leg. Hopefully prolong that. Like I said, we just had a little speck of surface rust, and I think it was from a scratch. As we can see, focus, there's scratches on this door anyway. And there was a good little scuff here, so I think it just chipped the paint. So that came out nice. So I'll get back with you guys in a bit. All right, we're moving on to assembly here. This bumper's, I believe, been hit once. The bracket on the inside that holds it where it's supposed to go is really tweaked out of whack. It's a little closer. All it is a little folded over metal tab that just holds the top of it in there, and then they have pusher chainers along the middle. So I'm going to get the tail light back in. Hopefully not drop it in the process. I'm sure this little fell out of the Jeep. These little guys are just a little 8mm in here. Get those started, plug this thing up, and then I'll start putting the carpet back in. Got my seam sealer inside, and I would have shown you that process, but I was flopping around like a half-dead fish in there trying to get my arms back in where I needed with an acid brush to paint that stuff in there. So, what's going on, guys? Not a lot of videos up. Need something to do when I get home at night. Okay, maybe have a video of a cutting off on this. I don't know. It'll be a short one, I believe. Could be wrong. Watch me be a smartass about it and burn through the clear and be very clear in this thing. Different shapes in here. So you can't screw that up too bad. Tucks in underneath the weather strip back here. It's a little bit of a tight fit. Luckily for me, I have Bondo sprayer in my pocket. I untaped my weather stripper around the windshield. That stuff needs to settle down a little bit. It's stayed rolled up a little bit. I may have to chase it with the heat gun, but we'll see. Okay, so that doesn't tuck under that, just tucks underneath that little flap. Not much holds this carpet in. There's a little. That's about it. There it is now. push rivet that goes in there. Nothing to it. There's a little, I guess you'd call it an accessory tray that goes down inside where the bottom of the trunk drops out. And then they have this little courtesy hook that goes in there. Videotape the undercoating process either, because there's not enough room for me, the camera, and an undercoating can. There we go. I don't know, so what's going on, guys? Say this stuff's hard to get to, but sure as hell ain't easy to get to. Must not be doing something right. I thought that little trimmer came over right there. Take this hook back out and pull the curve back and see what I'm doing wrong. Usually I don't pay a lot of attention the way I take this stuff apart, because usually there's not very many pieces and it's pretty self-explanatory, but evidently it's not self-explanatory, or I would have done that. Looks like, now that I'm looking at it, the fuel inertia switch has been replaced and they slotted the holes and moved it. Maybe that was a recall or something, and that little push clip doesn't want to go in there now. It was in there, but I noticed one of the ears on it was broken off. So I'll face the broken off. Hold on a second, I got a retainer tool. It was just a push pin in that, and I pulled the carpet off of it. It's still in there. That explains why that doesn't go. Success. Alright, try this one more time. sort of full time in the winter. Alright. Oh, that's more better. Have anything else lined up. I do have a pickup. I have an 01 2500 HD Chevy. It's my truck that it needs cab corners and rockers, and I'm dreading it. I don't really know how long it's going to take me. I've done it before on the older Chevy trucks, but I'm taking the bed off. I do not want to take the bed off the truck with the cab corners in. And I saw Rich do one on a Dodge Millrick. 77, I think, is his username. And I just don't know how far. I haven't really poked and prodded to see how far gone the rock or the cab corners are. I might be able to get away with just cutting out enough to get the rocker out. And I don't have to replace the entire rocker, I just need to go up. It's an extended cab, not a crew cab, so the 4-door truck that's got the half doors, suicide doors in the back. I think I can lay underneath or sit on a creeper underneath the truck and weld the cab corner in after I get the rocker in. And I oil spray that truck. Freaking rockers are just going on. And not like the past 2 years have they started to show. And it's kind of crazy because I think the paint that was on it, it was just hiding the sin behind it. It was just barely sitting over the rusty rocker. And I hit it with a pressure washer one day, and the paint fell right off of it, and it was a little hole, and by the end of last winter, it was a big hole. So that sort of sucks, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Try to take care of that truck well, but there's only so much you can do. Alright. Close that trunk before I kill the battery. The interior courtesy lights actually go off, but the interior ones, or the trunk one, does not. So, alright. I will I'll hook up with you guys in a little bit when I get to it. Alright guys, one last thing. I'm going to give you a walk around to the Acura. It's all buttoned back together. I have these are part of a door latch for a Hyundai, I don't know, Sonata maybe, little car. This is part of the door latch. The door handle is actually on this side, and you pull it out, and this part stays on the car. It's the rear door where there's no lock mechanism from the outside, and it busted, and we got a replacement piece for it right here, and I need to go get some paint mixed for this. Gee, I don't even know if there'll be a formula small enough to mix just a teeny tiny bit of paint, or if they'll do it. I got a pretty good rapport with my paint store, so they'll probably do it for me for $10 or something like that. But there it is. Now that it's back on the ground, I'm gonna let it sit till tomorrow, and I'm gonna buff it, get the few dirt turds out of it, and wash the car. But I got a little piece of masking tape down there. There was a little nick in the top of the bumper. I think I might have done that the last time and didn't notice it, so I touched that real quick, and I'm happy with it. It turned out just fine. I'm waiting for this weather strip to lay back down. I don't want to put any tape on it just yet to hold it down, and I may have to chase it with the heat gun. But I was sort of apprehensive about clearing that panel because I figured I'd get too much on it up there and I'd have runs, and that's such a small panel to fix as far as getting a run out of. I just didn't want to mess with it, but it turned out sweet, so that's it. Color match is good. Like I said, when you have more clear on one panel than another, it'll throw your eye off a little bit. But I'm going to buff that quarter. I'm going to buff that door adjoining to it, and that should fix the problem. The butt match to the bumper, I don't see anything, so it looks good to me. The bumper's scratched and scuffed and everything else. Probably should have painted that too, but he just wanted the rust fixed. So got our undercoating in and everything's good to go. So I'm going to go down to the body shop store and see if they'll mix me up a little paint for that handle piece. It's basically, for a rear door, it's this piece right here on a Hyundai car. I don't know how you break that off unless you pull it so damn hard that it breaks. Maybe it's just cheap plastic. Maybe it was cracked to begin with from the time the car was assembled. I really don't know. So I'm going to go see what I can find out.